I hit the go live button. And we are live. Hello and welcome to another FreudenFreude podcast. Today is the 1 year anniversary special. Yes, yay!
1 year, we made it.
Okay, let's do our intro.
Yes.
Yes, so
Um,
FreudenFreude is the channel where we bring you content to help you grow and develop as a person and as a leader.
Hi, I'm Sandra Corona,
I am Claudia, and we
and we are
coaches.
coaches.
Yes.
Okay. One thing out of three things. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so I am a coach for leaders, for young professionals, and for the neurodiverse community.
Yes, and I work with entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, as well as their teams in tech and beyond. So today is November 1st, 2023, and we started on November 2nd a year ago with our very first FreudenFreude Live. Incidentally, it was my first ever live stream. So it was quite nerve-wracking the very first time around, especially since I'm kind of coordinating the tech behind the scenes. And
Yes.
so, I do remember it. So, in the matter of the
Yes.
celebration, I do what we do in Luxembourg, and I am going to pop a little bottle of Paul Faber. That is what we do here in Luxembourg. Where I am is on the Mosella River, and it is a wine region. Actually, my dad even is a hobby winemaker, and he made 190 liters of rosé this year.
Oh
And
my.
but this is a champagne type. Obviously, we're not into champagne, so we can't call it champagne, and we call
Mhm.
it crème, but it's essentially the same thing. So I'm gonna pop.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Doesn't want
Uh,
to. And oh, I hope that it's a good one. It was kind of
yes.
flat sounding, didn't it? Like a little.
No, well, you were holding it very well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at that. Ah, beautiful.
See, so Prost, Sandra. Good job done.
Same to you, Claudia. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, mine is non-alcoholic. It's an alcoholic beer, but Claudia is doing the alcohol for us. Anyways,
It was such an interesting thing because I never drink alcohol, except
I'm
maybe, except maybe, 2 or 3 times a year, like birthdays and Christmas and New Year's. So I am what you call a cheap date. So let's see how far this thing is going to get us here to liven up the spirit.
yes, yes. Okay, so we have planned to talk about how working together, building an alliance, Claudia and I has changed us. How we started off, why we started this channel, and why we're continuing with this channel. How we've shared the good, the bad, the sad, the happy, the moments, how we've evolved as people, as professionals, how we support each other, and how we got or get each other when one can't so much because of health issues or family situations or just feeling exhausted, right? Who doesn't know what it feels to be exhausted?
Right.
So we're going to talk about that today.
Right. Because one of the things of being live is that you're live. I mean, anything can happen. And we also made a commitment to do this at a fixed time each
Mhm.
week. So we can't wait for the magical moment where all the stars align and you feel at your best. It's like Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. for me, and that's when we're going to go live, come hell or high water. And some of you might remember last December, I caught a really bad case of COVID. I was sitting here in a mask and miserable and bundled up, and for a number of weeks actually.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
it's showing up, and it's that in itself, I think, for me was a valuable practice. You just show up, and sometimes it comes with the territory that you're not at your best, and then it really does help to have a nice co-host like you here, that can kind of maybe take over a little bit of the weight of the responsibility. So how was that experience for you, the just showing up?
It was, I really, Claudia, I think for me, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle because I feel that, you want to do things so perfectly. You want to do things right, and you want to sound professional. Right? Oh, my doggies, they're agreeing. Okay, they're agreeing. Selene, mama. And and then, and then trying to build authenticity. That's another thing. You're nervous, you're going live, and then you're trying to build authenticity at the same time. You're trying to focus on the topic. I mean, there's so much involved in this that it was difficult. But it's
Yeah,
been a year.
yeah, especially in the beginning. I think if you go back over the first like 5 episodes or so, we would try to find our bearings and get over this initial maybe uncertainty and so on, and build this confidence and build this trust
Yes,
also
yes,
between the two of
exactly.
us. I'm not saying that the content was bad in any way. I think it was still valuable. I just get the feeling, at least from my own personal experience, that now the flow is just more natural, more natural. And I just looked at our list of topics here, and on the 23rd of November last year, which was only like, I think, the fourth show, it was just showing up and the concept of perfection. So we were all very acutely aware of that thing at that point. Guess what made us choose that topic for that show? It was,
Exactly, exactly.
time. Yes.
Um, I think I have to be grateful for this thing that we've built together. Um, because if it wasn't for being in FreudenFreude with you, I would have probably not had this routine that puts me in a good mood, that keeps me thinking, that creates that gives me ideas, creates material, that is constantly trying to do things better, with the difference of, again, trying to be authentic and trying to be quality versus a script, right? Because I so wanted to say the right things that I would have a script and it would just ruin the flow, until I learned at some point that I thought, you know what? If I'm not present, like Claudia was asking me at the beginning, if I would not put myself present, I will never trust on what I can say and my knowledge. And I took the chance. I put my hands in Claudia's expertise as a coach, as a human being, and as my co-host. And it worked out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I did sometimes rely a lot on her, but it was part of the process of trying to build my own confidence. And she held on to that, and she was holding me. So I have to thank Claudia for that. Thank you, Claudia.
You. And it goes both ways. I really, and I can tell. I mean, now even if I go on another podcast or if I have to just speak freely, spur of the moment, say something or whatever. It's different, right? I can rest in the that I will be able to do a good enough job, and I let go of the sense of like it needs to be word perfect and I think that it's kind of the antidote to imposter syndrome
Mm.
because you just have to do it. And the proof is in the pudding, I think. Just for those who might be interested. And my champagne, incidentally, is attracting fruit flies all over here. So if I gesticulate, that's a little bit what it is. We have a fruit fly infestation in Luxembourg this year. It's really, really bad.
Oh.
So we have 42-hour-long sessions in our lives. And we have one video, which was an earlier discussion about what is FreudenFreude and, why did we choose it to name the channel. So that one also exists. So 43 videos available for well over 40 hours of content. So, we showed up 42 times. We took an extended summer break, but otherwise every week we were there, except one week where
Mhm.
unfortunately Sandra's husband got into an accident and she was just not available, which is another reality of being alive, right? Sometimes you're just not there.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's a pretty good thing. And I think because we stuck it out and built this accountability between the two of us, uh, we created this. Because otherwise, there were moments, if I had to go on live myself, by myself, it would have been, I would have nixed it. If I were,
Mm.
there were
Yeah.
when I had COVID and,
Mm.
I wasn't doing well and so on, that I was just like, but because I made this commitment, we pulled it through and we have 42 shows. So good job.
Yes, and you know what I think I've found myself, I'm doing now since I'm repatriating from Saudi Arabia the coming year. I decided to do a weekly live where I talk about how I feel. And when I talk about it, it just feels so good. Now, the only thing that I'm still working on is not on you know ranting so much, because when you're repatriating, you rant, right? There's things that you're unhappy with, there's things that you want to share and blah blah blah. And here in FreudenFreude, it's not that we hide how we feel, it's that we share it in a different level. That's how I feel. I think we share it in a way that it helps people build or get the tools that they need. If they're going through the same stuff that we are, they can get that tool and say, oh, if they can do it, I can too, right? So ranting has a value.
Right. Especially for the ranter, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
But it goes back to underscoring really the reason why we do this channel in the first place, right? It's obviously not something that we monetize. We're doing it in the hopes that we provide value, that we give a contribution. And we actually have already discussed that going forward, maybe we will take measures to build the audience a little bit because we have this body of work, and unfortunately, sometimes it gets lost a little bit in the
Yes.
vastness of YouTube. And so we are going to think about ways to maybe increase viewership in a more targeted way.
Yes.
But that was it. It's we and there were shows that were exceedingly practical, and I think all of them had some really practical tips in it in terms of just this is what I went through, this is how I resolved it, this is how some of our clients resolve it, this is some of the recommendations floating around in the ether, and we tried to be practical. And you know, I'm a very conceptual person, so some of what I say is at quite a high level, but Sandra has a much better grasp on capturing more practical examples. So I think that we really complement each other quite well in that respect, and we hope that that will actually helped increase the value of the show.
Yes, exactly. You know what? I think, Claudia, even if, even if at some point we still continue seeing that the videos have 5 viewers, 10 viewers, 1 viewer, I think that as long as we can make that one person that is watching that video, and this is going to sound corny, but it's the truth. Now I understand it. I've heard it so many times, teachers saying, as long as I can make the difference on one student. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I got this. Exactly. That one is all I need. And that's how I feel. That's really how I feel. And
You are the one person who read my book, right? It's really uh, the
oh,
next
talk
thing.
about your book. Talk
Yeah,
about your book.
we'll talk about the book in March last in uh, April. See, the champagne's already kicking in. Cheap date. I told you. I published I published a book on team coaching that is available on Amazon, and we'll actually talk about it in an upcoming show. I think that would be very interesting because I'm also behind the scenes as I have time and energy. I am working on a couple more that I hope to publish, at the latest next calendar year. But what it takes to go into such a huge project, because you don't write a 200 plus page book over a weekend if you want to do a really good job. And so, which at least I try to, okay. It was not one of those like, use ChatGPT and write your novel in 3 hours kind of thing.
Right?
I spent months on it. But the lost my train of thought. Catch me, please. We talked about
You were talking about your book and the time that it's taken you to write it.
the one that reads the book. I really think that we are not chasing viewership so much that we needed to boost our egos and that we get the likes and the
Right.
stuff. I think that the goal between boosting viewership would just be to make this content available to more people to potentially learn from,
Yes.
right? Because as more people know that it's available, as maybe the SEO gets upgraded a little bit for the different shows and so on, that it's more findable on YouTube, or that we maybe market it a little bit more on LinkedIn, which is our preferred platform, at least mine. That people will just find it more, and then hopefully be able to maybe watch the one or other show that relates to a situation or context that they're in at the moment, and hopefully find some value in doing that. So more than the chasing of the likes, or we're not going to get monetized anytime soon. That's not the goal here, but just having a larger chance of the viewers
Yes.
to gain value from it.
Speaking of, like, I'm going to be honest, speaking of the value in what we're doing, the value of what we're doing has helped me get through many things. Uh, I cannot express how important it has been to talk about all these topics, because all of these topics, not only do we just talk about them, we understand them, we apply the concept, and we that's what we do every single day. But when
Right? Because
yes,
the topics are usually selected the week before, or even the same week that we do it, and so they often relate to an actual situation that we experience.
exactly.
And so it can really help us to gain different perspectives, to frame it a little bit differently in our own heads and to cope.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I can tell you that for me right now, the way that it has worked is with my aging mother's move. She finally moved last night. She traveled from Mexico City to a state of the Republic where my brother lives. And I cannot express to you, Claudia, how important it was yesterday to just be present, to offer support in every aspect, 100% to my brothers, to my sister-in-law who was there for my mother. Being away, it can cause anybody to stress out. And it did. It just stressed me out until I learned that my superpower is to be resourceful. So, okay, so I learned to live with the fact that I wasn't there with my mom, not because it was convenient, but because it's a true, honest situation. I cannot be there with her, but we had my sister-in-law. So there's things that you learn to do, which is to compromise, right? You do this, I do that. You are on the lookout for this, I'm on the lookout for that. And so I learned yesterday, I was so surprised with myself. I'm so proud of myself that how, yes, how I managed things that I would have thought that a year ago, I would have not been able to do, right? And one of them was to keep the cool, right? To not freak out, to allow for things to happen, to trust the process or any process at all, because we as humans tend to be a little bit, we want things to happen when we want them to happen rather than to trust the process. And that's why sometimes things don't go our way. And I learned that yesterday. I learned that it was so important to support your siblings, to recognize one another. And then I learned, well, this is what I do with Claudia. We recognize one another after a good show. What do you send? Always you send the text and you always say, good job. And I liked it. And what do you think? And blah, blah, blah. And it has helped me to be grateful. It has helped me to be responsible. And this being here in FreudenFreude with you, Claudia, it has taught me so much. Especially it has taught me to be resilient. And resilient isn't everybody's mouth, I'm sorry. But like really seriously, it has taught me how to manage myself in a whole different level.
Right, right. Because you're being put on the spot every week.
Yes.
And and that's also one of the reasons we started some months into the show these two series, as we call them, like more focused things. And one is resilience, and the other one is the intercultural intelligence, because the cultural intelligence one is the one that both Sandra and I are very attuned to, because it's a lens through which we always look at a situation, at a behavior, and so on. It's kind of in our radar. It's actually through learning that we met, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Community that deals with intercultural intelligence. And obviously we both have been expats. I repatriated a number of years ago, so I'm also a repat.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in quite a number of different countries, and so I think that we found this kind of commonality in there too. But the resilience part is really big. So we both recognize that there is a need to kind of stress that. And resilience is, it's one word, but there's so many facets, so many skills
Mm-hmm.
that go into it. It's kind of like leadership, right? We have this umbrella leadership, but in practice, it boils down to these mindset decisions and habits and behaviors,
Right.
wide range of things that you kind of have to juggle and be mindful of. And so, resilience is something that we need in everyday life. And I think doing a live like this is a prime training ground for dealing
Mm-hmm.
with. And shall
Mm-hmm.
we mention the interesting episode that we had? Um, when was it? On the 15th of March this year. We were happy along talking about how, in a show entitled "How to Deal with Your Crazy Coworker," when this, a person,
A
joined.
crazy.
Yes, because back then I said, okay, if people want to join the show, they can just join the show.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
he joined up, exposed in the throes of ecstasy, and it took us a good 15 seconds to find the, throw this guy out of the show button. I think that
Oh
was
my God.
that was like a good training in terms of being resilient when
Oh
you're
yeah.
thrown, quite like that. And I remember that we talked about it.
Like the week following, right? I think that, yeah.
Following week, it's because I remember that I think maybe even you a little bit more than me were really thrown by that uh,
Yes.
situation. For me, it's like, oh, look how this guy needs to have fun, uh, uh, which is absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, don't go
Yes.
into the thing per YouTube rules. I cut that section out of the live.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
Back and look at it, but it might be really fun to like watch Sandra and Claudia kind of like, if you want to see stunt looks that's gonna be for a good laugh, right?
Yes, exactly. Our reindeer eyes, right? That it was
Indeed,
like,
in the
yeah,
headlights.
yes, it was like, oh my God. I still to this day, I wish I could say, oh, I'm okay, it was a moment and be so nonchalant about it. But the truth is, it was a funny moment. It was funny, it was stressful, because the last thing you expect is for something like that to happen to you, right? And then you're thinking, how should I react? Now I know, right? Because we learn through experience, talking about, cultural moments. This is one of them. This is for me was an experience where now I know what to do next time is to, okay, I know I'm going to find the exit button, kick the guy out and move on, because there's nothing new under the sun with what I saw.
Right. I mean, nothing is gonna be wrong, right? So the thing is that also, we took precautions. Now
Yeah.
for the show, we still make the Zoom link available on LinkedIn, but there's a waiting room enabled right now, right? Because we don't want people to just pop in, and we would only admit people that we actually know by name,
Want. Yeah.
our connection network and so on, because
Right.
we have to protect the show as well.
Correct.
But it was a challenge then to really get back into the flow of talking about maybe workplace co-workers and bosses and things like that.
Yes.
It took us a while to really get back into it. So everybody who wants to look at that, you're in for a good laugh. But
Yes.
I really think that things like that just help with resilience. It's like what you said. If this happens again, or somebody else, even being invited on the show and being inappropriate, or something like that, we will be able to just deal with it. It's like, thank you, but no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is not appropriate for this platform, and
Yes.
go, you know,
Have fun somewhere else. Yes.
well, it doesn't need to be anything sexual in nature. I'm just saying, even if it becomes antagonistic and brings up
Yeah.
topics that we tried not to address, topics of religion, topics of race, topics of
Politics.
very biased gender issues and politics. There's no, we don't feel that we need to go there
Hmm.
on this platform. And
Correct.
so I really think that we started those two series also to just, be a little bit more targeted maybe in the choice of topics, and also to make it easier for people that maybe just want content about a particular thing. Like for right now,
Right.
for in the intercultural series, which runs every third or fourth week of the month. That one, right now, we go through the cultural dimensions. So for the next few months, every once a month, we will go and talk about those things.
Yeah. Every
And
fourth week.
every fourth Wednesday of the month, exactly.
Yes, exactly. And you know what I wanted to talk about, Claudia, is the reason why we're still here. For me, the reason why I'm still here is because I feel that I grow every single week. As a coach, as a professional, as a speaker, um, as someone that has something to say, I exercise my voice. Um, and I share my space and my time with people, right? So it's something that I want to do every single week. Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. There's times where you're like, oh, but who doesn't, right? You're exhausted, you're tired. Life happens. Life happens. And but then when we're, sometimes, how many times, Claudia, how we said, oh, it's going to be 15, 30 minutes because we're tired. And suddenly we realize it's been the hour,
Again,
right? Exactly. We're like, what happened? We were supposed to leave early, right? And we don't, because we get in the moment. We enjoy it so much and we have things to say. And for me, finding my voice was one of the most important things that I would suggest people to do, because how many people out there are afraid to speak up, that don't have the words, the voice to speak up and say, this is what I think, this is what I want, this is what I need.
it's not so much the voice and the words, but it's the confidence to say them. Because and to just put yourself out there, and to know that sometimes you might say something in that thread, in that moment, in that discussion, that maybe might have a slight variation to it a couple
Mm.
weeks later, and that's okay. That's how we grow. Absolutely, I agree, because even if now I'm on a podcast and so on, I'm willingly signing up for it. I don't need a script. I just show up and do it essentially. And the for me, the weekly ones just help with structuring information.
Mhm.
You have sometimes a number of views and perspectives regarding one thing, and it helps me to conceptualize maybe a more overall framework, see other points of it, just broaden
Mm.
potentially a thing that we're talking about, and just, yeah, just being able to talk more openly about it in the future. I'm very much a stream of consciousness person. I
Mm.
think as I talk,
Mm.
and I, except for our discussions that we usually have on Tuesday mornings,
Okay.
I really don't think about these things. I just
Yeah.
show up, and
Yeah.
enough. I do not sit there, except in maybe very small things that I might have just a bullet list of things that I want to touch on, but it's just literally maybe 5 or 10 points that I wanted to touch on. For instance, last week we talked about individualism versus collectivism on our intercultural show, and I had like a list of some bullet points on my screen about things that I wanted to mention, that I didn't want to forget about. They're not really a cheat sheet per se that I wouldn't know what to talk about, but sometimes I might want to have a list just in case. But usually I just come bare. I just come
Yeah,
to share my overall thing. And so doing that then helps me get a better grasp overall about the topic.
right. Look, I can tell you one thing. Speaking of finding my voice, like I was saying before, I think that if I were, as an ADHDer, I've I went today to the psychiatrist. Okay, just to give you some background, I went to the psychiatrist today so that they can give me medications for my ADHD. And the doctor was asking me questions, and we were having a great conversation. I like the guy. He's fun. He's Egyptian, and I say that the reason that why he's Egyptian is because it's not that we share the same culture. We just get along, and we have great conversations. He asks me things. I tell him about my coaching. I tell him about my school, and so on and so on. At the end of the session, he tells me, "You know what? I hear you, and you're eloquent. You have a process, you follow a process in your conversation, you don't deviate, you sound great, and blah, blah, blah." He's telling me all these things that I'm thinking, oh my God, it is so great because that is not something that an ADHDer gets to hear every single day. And it is not emotional. It is actually a very good thing to feel proud about because I started laughing and I told him, I know, you're going to say that you still doubt that I have ADHD. I said, the thing is, doctor, that when I put my head or my mind into wanting to achieve something, I achieve it. But it takes all my energy, it takes everything I have in order to achieve it. I said, ask me probably in an hour from now, and I'm going to be probably looking at squirrels and chasing cats and stuff like that. Like I am the most ADHD person. You just don't get to see me at my worst. I come here and I'm being myself, which is different, right? Than wanting to be somebody that I'm not. So I realized how I've changed, how this FreudenFreude has helped me, follow through things, understand where I'm going, what I'm trying to communicate, what I'm trying to do, blah, blah, blah. I love it. It's like FreudenFreude. Now I cannot no longer see myself not doing this. Maybe probably 6 months ago, I was like is this really where we're going? Is this really where we want to go? Remember, we were thinking about it. No, now FreudenFreude, it's like I can't be without it.
Right,
It's
right.
important.
It's important and it's fun too. I want to stress that this is not,
Mm.
something. I mean, sometimes it's hard, especially when you're having a bad day or you're feeling sick.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so, it's not always like that, but the sense of achievement, satisfaction, the fulfillment after each show, it's real. It's real. And so, it's really quite addictive, I would say. And we just started season 2 with no intention of stopping. I think we actually
Yeah.
came up with a renewed sense of doing this because both of us were quite burned out at
Yeah.
the end of spring, at the beginning of summer. because we have a lot of work and we run our own businesses and things like this. This is not the only pony show in town, as they say, and so I think that back we're back into the steady state and look forward to do it again. I mean, I want to keep this going. I hope to find more interesting topics, maybe even have some interesting people with good stuff to say join us on the
Mm-hmm.
show as
Mm-hmm.
we go forward to give our viewers maybe a more varied, exposure
Right.
about this and just continue learning and you know, growing because I think it really is a learning and growing experience for the both of us. And so I really think that it's a worthwhile endeavor. I hope that we'll continue creating content, but that we also learn maybe how to market it a little better. So I actually want to actively beg our viewers to maybe share the love a little bit. Uh,
Yes.
Tell your friends, please. Maybe share it on your social media if there's a show that you particularly like, or just link them to our channel
And
and
subscribe.
subscribe. Yes, please, and engage as well. I mean, a like, a comment on the social media platforms goes a long way in promoting
Right.
the. So it would be really nice to maybe hit that like button for us at the very least. That would be
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes. And Claudia, I wanted to ask you, what do you feel that you have that you can say that you, if FreudenFreude was to end tomorrow, what would you be taking away with you about FreudenFreude?
That I want to find some other co-host and start another channel just like it. I just like it. I just like it. And I found out through this experience that it is my favorite content creation way to have these. And actually my Top Coach channel, Top Coach Luxembourg channel on YouTube is mostly that. You do not see me just waxing poetic and so on. It is me in discussion with other people, and this has kind of confirmed that. So I think for me it has proven that concept, proven that modality of engaging and creating content. And so I would really miss it. I really would.
Yeah.
I would miss it. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And we will be able to keep it. There will be some disruption, obviously, when you're repatriating, just because of
yes.
the fact of the matter, right? When you're in an airplane, and we'll have to discuss how to maybe nevertheless offer a video at that moment in time to keep
Yes.
schedule and so on. But that after you are then in a completely different context with so much stuff throwing around you and in your head, that
Yeah. Yeah.
will be able to keep this foundational momentum going of the show, that it is just what it is. It is a commitment that we need to stay accountable to for ourselves. I mean, me,
Yes.
but also between each other, and of course to the larger community.
Well, we'll take it like a spring break, just that 1 week and, just traveling, getting used to the time. And then, I'm okay for the following week.
Right.
So,
If you dig out your laptop and your stuff, and you have an actual table to use, and
yes,
uh, you know
candles.
you have internet connection and all those kind of things. But that notwithstanding, yeah, let's plan on keeping the rhythm, because
Yes.
I really think for me as well, it was kind of tough to come back after summer break.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how it is for you, but losing
Yeah.
momentum Now I'm good. And I'm glad that we jumped right back into it. But it is not always straightforward when you lose momentum to get back into it.
Yes.
I'm going to put it in our list for a future topic.
Oh, okay, perfect. But you know what? I too was, like you said, it was hard to say this day and this day and this. It was so hard, but I missed it. I'm going to be honest. It was like I miss talking, I miss having the conversation about the topic. But then again, it was just proof that we were burned out. Because like you say, we have so much going on that we need a break, that we are human, that we it's okay to feel exhausted once in a while and to say, you know what, can we push it another week? It's normal.
It's normal. It's normal. And we are at 45 minutes. So, unless you have something else you want to touch on, maybe this particular show we actually break a little bit earlier. But I'm giving you the
We did
floor.
it. No, I think I'm good. I think I've shared with you what my challenges throughout the entire year. You've listened, you've given me advice. We've grown so much closer, and we've trusted so much of one another that there's nothing that I can say right now that can top it. We're here and I'm enjoying it and I'm done. So thank you, Claudia.
And just for those who are interested, Sandra and I have never met in real life.
Yeah, yeah.
Never met in real life, so this is a partnership that's entirely online, and that in itself is quite interesting because
Yes.
true collaboration and sharing is possible in a remote setting, and that also is a very interesting tidbit actually, I think.
Yes, yes,
So that
exactly.
being said, let's close it here for today.
Yes.
I fun to do this little retrospective and looking back. I think
Yes.
reflection and looking back are a very important thing to have. Another topic of a future show. It's the whole self-reflection and looking back. So that's how
Yes.
we actually find our topics, people.
Exactly.
And so again, please, if you like the content and subscribe, engage, and so on. And we will be back with our next show next week.
Yes.
Take care.
Yes. Thank you so much, Claudia. Bye. Oh, yes. Cheers. Bye bye.